Lily Ledbetter's name is on a landmark law that helps workers fight for pay equality. A new film called Lily tells the story behind the headlines, and it's brought to the screen by a Silicon Valley executive who knows a thing or two about workplace equity. Jenny Dearborn is an expert in human resources, former head of talent at SAP, and author and executive producer of Lily. Good morning. You're Jennifer, a business executive, not a traditional Hollywood producer. What got you into this?
There's a wonderful group of women across the country that came together and invested in this film. So I'm one of 80 women, and we just all, wrote big checks, and we read the script and said, we have to make sure that this movie sees the screen and everybody sees it.
Yes, and so that's, for those people who are not in Hollywood, a director decides what a movie looks like. Producers are the ones that fund it.
Yeah, we're just, all I did was write, I just wrote a check with a lot of zeros, and then, was kept up to date with the filming as it was going. It was quite an arduous process. They filmed all during COVID, and it was, it was stressful, but it was great. It's an amazing product.
All right. For those of us who may not remember all of the details, what was the heart of Lily Ledbetter's case, and why did it end up at the Supreme Court?
Yes. So she was paid about 50% less than her male counterparts for about 20 years when she was a line supervisor at Goodyear. And she found out right as she was retiring that this pay inequality existed. And she went to a local lawyer, and they sued and won in Alabama court, and then it was overturned on appeal, and then they went to the Supreme Court and lost. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg famously said, just because you lost doesn't mean that this is wrong. And so she went to Congress, and she lobbied at Congress to change the law. It was passed and then overturned by Bush, and then it was passed again under Obama, and then he signed it into law.
What about her story resonated with you personally? Was there a moment in her story that really felt connected to your own?
Well, it wasn't a particular moment, but just the entire story is what we deal with in human resource. I'm a human resources executive, and we deal with this issue every day still across our country, and everybody who's in HR. This is a very timely story. This is not just something from like a whole lot of years ago.
Well, yeah, and that's what was going to be my follow-up question, right? Is, it gets signed into law by President Obama, and everyone lives happily ever after, and women are paid exactly the same amount as men for the same job, except that didn't happen.
Except it doesn't happen. I mean, the actual law change was you are allowed to sue your employer with every paycheck that renews the discrimination. So Lily, they said, you should have sued 20 years ago when you got your first discriminatory paycheck. And she said, I didn't know until 20 years later. And so the law change was with every new paycheck, it's a re-upped act of discrimination. So you can sue throughout. And so just because you can now sue at any time in your employment history or your employment doesn't mean that women are paid fairly or equitably. We still don't have equal pay for equal work.
Right. Now, speaking more broadly, I mean, you are somebody, who knows Silicon Valley and human resources very well. How do you think we're doing? I mean, in 2025?
We are, every year is better than the year before. We are making progress. What is challenging is the discrepancy between white women, women of color, women with college degrees, women of the same ethnicity that don't have college degrees. So it is not consistent at all. We're still at about 84 cents to the dollar on average of what a man earns, but it's significantly less for women of color.
What do you hope that younger women, as they see this film or who are entering the workforce, take away from it?
Yeah, just that an ordinary person can do extraordinary things. And, she was just she wasn't trying to be famous. She just wanted to do what was right and fair for people who came after her. She was just a factory worker and a mom, and she was just like, this isn't fair, and fought it. And I think it's super inspiring to young women, to all of us, to say, like, every voice matters. Like, you can make a difference. You can change this if you just put your foot down and say, I don't think this is right.
I think that's wonderful. Now, are there other movies in your future?
Actually, yes. Because of this, I have other projects underway. But that,
you get on a list.
That only means that I write, that I'm a patron of the arts, and I write checks for amazing stories that I really want the public to see. But I'm it's not my full-time job at all. It's just a side.
Right. Can you give us a preview, or is it still?
The next one is a comedy, and it's kind of Pineapple Express meets Ocean's 11.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see it. In fact, I officially invite you back when that gets released, and we'll chat about that one. Well, Jenny Dearborn, great. I really enjoyed it. Jenny Dearborn, thank you so much for joining us again. The movie is Lily, and we'll be back.